Gardening in the United States has experienced a significant growth and popularity in recent years. It has become a favorite hobby and a way for people to connect with nature, grow their own food, and beautify their surroundings. In this video, we will learn the secrets of gardening from a true master, Diane Blazek from National Garden Bureau.
Hi.
My name is Polly and you're on PissedConsumer channel. Let's get started! Diane, please tell us about yourself and your expertise in the gardening industry.
Sure. Yes. I am the executive director of two different nonprofit organizations. One is All America Selections, which is 91 years old, and we are a plant trialing organization. The other one is National Garden Bureau, and we are 103 years old. So both organizations have been around a long time. Prior to that, I spent 15 years with a horticulture publishing firm where we did trade publications, trade books, as well as consumer gardening books. So, all in all, I've been around for about 30 years in the professional horticulture world. And growing up, I grew up on a farm in Missouri, and I did a lot of gardening then, as well as what I still do in my own yard.
How to start growing? What are the first steps a consumer should take to ensure they have everything they need to start growing their own plants and food?
I think my advice is to just jump right in. You don't really need to purchase a lot of things. I mean, one of the best tips I think I can give is to start small. It's really easy to overdo it and get overwhelmed. Some people may not realize that gardening is work, it's fun work, but you have to tend things. It would be like going from somebody having no children to having 10 children if they decided to do a really big garden all at once. So I say start small. A great way is to start in containers. Me personally, I love to start with herbs because they're very easy to grow, can do well in containers. They can be ornamental, they can be edible. So that's probably my first step in how you could get started. Right. There are a lot of our members, our National Garden Bureau members, that sell different kits. So it could be a microgreen kit. It could be, an herb garden kit to get started. Maybe they would sell different plants to make a combination container. So, yeah, if you just go online and look for some of the starting kits from the good reputable retailers, that's a great way to start.
Growing a garden, is it a large investment? What are the estimated costs for home gardening?
Well, it can be a large investment if you so choose. I was saying jump in and get started with maybe one container, and then you don't have that big initial investment. I mean, I recycle a lot of different containers. I make containers out of different things. The main thing is making sure that they have drainage. So if you're doing that, you could get started as little as under $50 because you could have the container. You want to buy a good potting soil, you want to buy either seeds or plants depending on how many you put in there, so you can get started very economically. On the other end of the spectrum, there are a wonderful array of products. Let's say you want to do a whole kitchen potager and you want to do it in raised beds, so you would be buying raised beds that come in any size imaginable and any height imaginable. Like, for example, we've got a company, Gardener's Supply, and they have wonderful raised beds that maybe are shorter to the ground or maybe they're up on stands. So then you would have a different investment. You do have to fill those with soil. If you're starting indoors, you probably want heating mats and lighting to help your little seedlings stay strong and not too leggy. As far as total overall cost, I mean, really, it depends on your budget, what size garden you want. So I'm going to say you could probably go anywhere from 50 to 500 or even more, depending on what you want to invest in.
Diane, what must-have gardening tools every consumer should have? How to choose good gardening tools? Which brands are the best?
With tools, again, you can start pretty basic. And I think, just a simple garden shovel or trowel would be all you need to get started if you're just doing containers. Now, if you're doing things in ground, then you will need different tools just because you're dealing with a larger quantity. Some of the things that I like are garden forks to break up the soil, hori knives that you can kind of chop through some of the roots or hard packed soil that's there. There's oh my gosh, there's so many good brands, and like I said, we have a lot of retail members that carry really good products. I think I mentioned Gardener's Supply earlier. Some of the specific brands, Black Oat Soil is a really good brand of soil if you're wanting to do raised beds or containers. Crescent Garden has containers. A lot of them are self-watering, so that just makes it super easy, and you don't have to be as diligent of watering every day. Johnny Selected Seeds has a wide variety of raised beds and different tools. Cobra Head, and it's a tool that looks exactly what it sounds like. It's a curved tool. And then Pro Plugger. This is one if you're going to plant bulbs. Even if you're planting small little transplants in ground, you can make this little hole with the Pro Plugger. So all of those are really good brands, and you just have to practice with them. Which one has a grip that you're comfortable with, and what are your needs. There's a lot of brands out there also for people with some physical disabilities or limitations that they are more ergonomically correct. So the great news is there's something out there for everybody, and you just want to use what you're comfortable with.
Diane, what are the pros and cons of greenhouses? What should beginners consider with greenhouses?
And that's a big thing to consider. It is certainly an investment. So that's the first thing. And I would never recommend that somebody is like, oh, I'm going to try gardening for the first time ever. I'm going to invest in a greenhouse. I think you have to experiment by, like I said, starting small and determine whether or not this is really for you. This fits on your property. This fits your budget. It works for your family, everything like that. Local regulations, if you're in more of an urban or suburban area, you have to consider that. And just overall, the amount of time that you have to spend gardening and in your greenhouse, the more space you have, the more you want to garden. And if you have a very, very busy lifestyle, you have to think, okay, when am I going to fit this in? Because it's not like plants wait around for you. When they need water now. They won't wait until the weekend when you have more time. A lot of considerations there. And simply the size of your property. Do you have space for a greenhouse? They're like us. They're living beings. We're human beings. They're plant beings. And we need food. We need water. Plants need food. Plants need water. So, I gave the analogy earlier about, having a family. So your children need tending. Well, so do your plants. I know a lot of people, there's a terminology called plant parenting, and that is exactly what it is. It's not year round, but if you have a greenhouse, then it could be year round. So that's one of the benefits, is either year round or extending your season. Like let's say you do really enjoy starting from seed. So depending on where you live, you can start much earlier in the year, and then you're saving money on the transplants that you don't have to buy. You can basically just use your own transplants. So there are certainly a lot of advantages. You have to just really think through it before you jump into that investment.
What plants and vegetables would you recommend for beginners to start growing? How to choose seeds and saplings?
I feel like a lot of people get started gardening because of the food edible aspect of it. So if you love to cook, you're always watching food cooking shows or whatever, and you're seeing all these fresh herbs and vegetables, then I would recommend trying herbs and vegetables. Herbs are very easy to grow. If you don't want to start from seeds and you want to start from vegetable transplants, they're super easy to find at your local garden center. So that would be easy. There's also something called direct sow vegetables, some herbs, all you have to do is scatter a few seeds and you're going to have parsley and basil. There's also things like lettuces, kale, radishes, green beans, peas, all of those you can direct sow. So then that kind of takes that early work out of it. You don't have to actually start the seeds indoors and transplant them. So that to me would be one of the ways to get started if you're doing edible gardening. And I always promote the fact that you need to grow what you like. Yeah, eggplant may be easy to grow, but if you don't like it, then don't grow it. Your family's not going to eat it, and you would be wasting not only time and money, but space where you could have been growing radishes that your family loves. So that's something. If you're thinking about ornamentals, and those can be annuals that you have to plant every year, or they can be perennials. On that front, there are also things that you can direct sow, that you can scatter some wildflower seeds or marigolds or zinnia. I'm probably oversimplifying it because, yeah, you want to not put too many seeds in one area because then you're going to have too many plants. But I think some of the not self-sowing, direct sowing varieties would probably be the way that I would recommend starting. The other thing that I do is talk about high value gardening. And so let's say that you're starting your seeds and you want something unique. You're going to go online, you're going to visit an online seed seller, and you're going to say, oh my gosh, look at this Carmen pepper or Mad Hatter pepper. These are really unique and unusual varieties. So you could choose to use your growing space for something like a green bell pepper, but it's pretty inexpensive when you buy them at the local grocery store or farmer's market. However, a unique variety that has these unique tastes and kind of give you bragging rights are a lot more fun to grow when you actually see them develop and harvest, and you can serve them to friends and family.
Diane, are there any risks involved in home gardening? What might be some unpleasant surprises and how to prepare for them?
I had said earlier that gardening is you have to be very patient. So you also have to kind of have some thick skin and realize that you're going to have some failures. So I would say there is a risk of failure, but don't take it upon yourself and say, oh my gosh, it was me, because sometimes it's not. I mean, maybe the weather was a bit unusual. Maybe Mother Nature was being a little cantankerous that week or that day. Like I mentioned, a late frost or hail comes through and damages. There's also little animals, little insects that can come through. I planted some squash one year and boom, the rabbits came through and they just said, okay, these are really good. And they ate all those. Planted some broccoli one time and the little cabbage moth worms came through and they decimated it. So there's a risk of failure. There's a risk of learning, which is always a good thing. I mean, sometimes you do learn from failure. So my best advice there is just to keep track. Keep track of what you planted, when you planted, the varieties you planted, what happened. Maybe you want to put it in a different area next year. Maybe you want to protect it differently. So that's a risk. And then, it's just sometimes you get these surprises that you didn't realize, and sometimes you didn't see the signs of when it really needed water. Maybe you thought it needed water and it was actually drooping because there was too much water. So again, it's just lessons and learning.
Diane, what is your key message to consumers who start or already grow a garden? What tips would you give them help to make it a worthy investment?
I would say don't be afraid to try something new, and don't be afraid to try something again if you had a failure. And one of the things that we work with a lot is all the new varieties that are coming on the market. And there is a reason why there's new stuff. I mean, think of your computers. There's a reason you have an upgraded computer or iPhone. It's because there are improvements that will make your life easier. So earlier when we were talking about some possible failures, We had talked about, pests and animals and stuff like that, but also there's diseases. So many of the newer varieties now are being adapted and bred to be disease resistant. So, be out there looking for the new stuff. Try something new. Try it again if last year's didn't work, or if your first crop of lettuce didn't survive, try it again. Just don't be afraid of failure. Just keep trying it, I think, would be my number one piece of advice, no matter if you're a brand new gardener or if you've been doing it for 30 years.
Thank you for the great tips, Diane. Friends, I hope this video has been helpful to you. To not miss out on any other important tips, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below the video to support us. Thank you for watching and see you soon!